This is 5 Minute Feng Shui Podcast, episode 142, Feng Shui COVID Update. Welcome to the 5 Minute Feng Shui Podcast, where each week I talk about how to move energy and make money. You'll learn how to create a prosperous home and an abundant life using classical Chinese Feng Shui. I'm your host, Katie Weber, publisher of the Red Lotus Letter, Feng Shui Easing for Wealth. Each week, I'll cover Feng Shui topics that can help you improve your life, share inspiring stories, and always end with 3 easy-to-implement Feng Shui tips that you can put to work right away, and usually in about 5 minutes. Now let's get started on the 5 minutes that could change your life. Hello there, my Feng Shui friend. I am joining you today on a lovely Friday afternoon and looking forward to a wonderful weekend. But one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about is of a more serious nature than usually that we talk about. Sometimes we talk about more fun things, but this is about COVID. And unfortunately, it's one of those things that we have seen grow instead of recede. And as we are approaching the coming months, it's looking like the Delta variant is actually growing exponentially. And we're seeing many more people being hospitalized, and we're seeing so much more news about death, infection rates, and the importance of being vaccinated. And today, when I was looking through my podcasts and what I wanted to talk about today, I noticed that I had actually done a podcast on COVID, but it was 70 podcasts ago, which is a lifetime. It seems like in COVID years, right? And this was a topic that I felt was obviously very, very important at the time, but I'm seeing that we're having a great expansion in the number of infections. And I felt like with the energies that are going to be coming out this month, and in particular next month, I felt like it was worth it to go over some of the things that you can do to help yourself, to give yourself that little extra edge, give your family a little bit more protection, and to help understand some of the energies that are going on. And I'm going to be talking a bit today about some of what brought us here to COVID and what's keeping us here in COVID energetically, and then where we're going in regard to COVID. So sit back, take some notes, because I think it might be helpful for you just to kind of get a feel for it and see how energies are really supporting COVID, unfortunately, but there are energies that can support you. And that is what I really want to focus on here today, is talking about how you can support yourself, support your home, support your family. Because we have learned, if nothing else we've learned through the pandemic, is how important homes are. Look at the real estate market. Would you have ever thought that we would have job losses like we have had? We've had incredible pandemic infection rates, and yet the real estate market is like bananas. It's gone through the roof. I find that very interesting, but not surprising. And the reason why is we are in this area of understanding now how important our homes are as protectors, right? We're looking at them as a place where this is really important. This is where I want to be. This is where I am safe. This is where I can feel good. And when we look at real estate through that lens, it changes the dynamic with regard to the value that we place on it. Not just our own feelings about our real estate and our homes and where we live, how we live, who we live with, but also the financial impact with it as well. So I find that just absolutely amazing that we're looking at just this explosion in real estate. Now, in small earth, I would say this is an area of growth. And we've had this year, fire has been in the area of small earth. Now, what does small earth have to do? This is your plot of land, right? It's not like a country would be big earth, but it's your plot of land. And this is, here we have this real estate that's just going bonkers with it. So this year has been really supportive for that real estate market, but also I think the whole COVID dynamic that comes into it. So let's talk a little bit about how we got here with COVID. Now, some of you may recall if you purchase my annual forecast, if you get my monthly updates about the energies, you know that last year we had, I call it the COVID star. And this is one of the things that I predicted. I didn't know the name coronavirus or COVID, but we knew without a doubt that the 7 star was coming in as the reigning star. So every year we have this new shift in energies. And it's a shift that is predictable. That's the nice thing. At least that's how I view it. The shift isn't an energetic roll of the dice. It follows an absolute pattern, a predictable pattern. So every year what we have is we have a reigning star. The energy moves backwards. So for instance, last year the reigning star, because we're moving backwards and it's a 6 star, that means it was a 7 star. Next year, because we're a 6 star this year, will be a 5 star next year. Because that star will be a 5 star, it makes me very worried about next year. I'm sorry to tell you this, but I firmly believe we are going to have a greater problem next year with COVID. And we may see another variant. I guess it'll be the echo variant if we're using the military linguistics. And I hope we don't get to Foxtrot or Lima or any of the other letters in the alphabet. We just don't want to have that. But it would be, I guess the E would be echo. Next year, we'll have a 5 star as the reigning star. But before we get into that, let's back up. So last year, when COVID came out, we have a yang metal year. That means the yang is obviously, it's a forceful energy, and it's the 7 star. And the 7 star is considered yin. And this is an energy that the 7 and the 6 are both stars that relate, or energies, numbers, however you want to look at it, are both energies that relate to the lungs and to the head. For the 6 star, specifically to the mouth for the 7 star. So that just says COVID all over it. And that's one of the things I talked about in my forecast for the year of the ox, is that we're going to have more COVID, unfortunately. But there is a little bit of a bright light shining in that there was going to be a vaccination available. In fact, I think how lucky we are in the U.S. to have 3 vaccines available to us that we can use, and that we've got our scientists in our business. People say, "Oh, our government's doing this." No, the government is not doing this. There's a private business that's doing this, and I know this because my husband works for the manufacturer who's actually manufacturing and bottling all the. So I'm very proud that we have 3 to choose from, and we have something to work with. Because so back to this. So the 6 star this year is a star that is about this vaccine, people banding together. We are seeing this now is literally a worldwide phenomena. It has hit every corner of the globe. And that 6 star relates to this big global, all-encompassing, our round blue marble that we are as the earth. Is that encompassing aspect about it. Now, next year we have the 5 star. That's not really a welcome thing. However, all the stars go back to their original home setting. So I think that will be a benefit. But that being said, I do believe that we will not be out of it. Next year will be it will be a water tiger year, and it's going to be a yang water tiger year. We're in a yin metal ox year. Next year will bring us benefits. Next year, it will take that length of time, in my opinion, energetically, when I look at how everything rolls out, I think it's going to take another year. It's going to be the end of 2022 before we can really take a deep breath of relief with this. Now, here's what I want to talk to you about COVID. And so we talked a little bit about last year, and this is when it came in, the 7 star. And it's a very malicious star. The 5 star is another malicious star, and that's coming in next year. We've got the 6 star that's in the middle, but it also relates to lungs. So we're not out of the lungs woods yet. Pardon my terrible expression. Next year, we've got more coming for us as well. I do expect that we're going to see some more variants. and I do believe that we will see a rise in children. And I've been predicting that. I've been saying that since I wrote the forecast last October. So almost a year ago, I wrote about what's going to be happening in 2021. And I'm sorry to say, as we're approaching September, this is what's coming to bear. Now, I'm not just going to talk all about the bad news, but I want to give you a heads up. I want to tell you what I'm seeing. When I look at my little crystal ball, it's really not a crystal ball. It's just where the numbers are going to. And this is one of the things that I often say at my training conferences is that I don't think of Feng Shui anymore as water or this or that. I think of it in terms of numbers. Really, it's the numbers. And I was never a math student. And that was just not the thing I can do. Now, my husband, he is my human calculator. He will tell me, I'll say, look, they're having a 13% off sale. And he will calculate that number and nothing flat. And I love that about him. He's amazing with math, not me. But oddly enough, I now think in Feng Shui terms in numbers. And that helps me to understand it. And that is the way that I read and look at Feng Shui. So when you're wondering, how does she know this? Well, I'm just looking at the energies and how they're flying, where they're going, what that means. And that's one of the things I try to do is sort of interpret what does it mean for us. You know, most of the time it's pretty close. And sometimes I'm off the mark, but right now, I'm sorry to say that my prognostications have been on the mark. And I do think that we're going to be seeing some more of that. So let's talk about what's coming down the pike. Now, this month we have a bit of a challenging month coming ahead for men and for women, and also for families in particular. Men and women this year and this month have an extra strain. I think, when I think about the energy of what men are dealing with this year and what women are dealing with this year, and even children, we're all dealing with energy. The way the energies have rolled out for the year. So we have men, women, children. We have, our health, we've got our wealth, we've got our jobs and income. And so I kind of put Feng Shui into those buckets. And when I look at the bucket that belongs to women, and I look at the bucket that belongs to men, and the bucket that belongs to children, as well as the bucket that belongs to families, it's very stressed and very strained. Women, if you've been wondering, why am I so tired? Why is my brain, a mess? Why can't I remember anything? Hey, you're off the hook. We've got energy that women are dealing with this year it will make you tired. It can make you crabby, and it can make you just not feel clear-headed. And, just get outside, do what you can to move and meditate. Be in nature, just be outside, be in touch with the earth. And one of the easiest, fastest ways that you can get in touch with your feminine energy, actually, just walk outside barefoot and stand with your feet on the ground. Just touch the grass, touch the ground. Put your bare feet on that ground. It's amazing what that can do. And just close your eyes and feel that earth, because women are earth. When people say, she's my rock, well, literally in Feng Shui, women are like the big mountain. And you are, because women run the whole household, right? We do. And that's just the way it is. And we are, and that's our role. And that's perfectly fine. Now for men, they're dealing with an energy that is it's sort of this petty grinding kind of energy that can be a little bit just draining. And the other thing that is a concern is the concern for men passing along the virus and being resistant to vaccination, being resistant to going to doctors, because men have a higher risk this year in particular to the COVID virus, in my opinion. This is just, now I'm not a medical doctor, and please know that this is all based on Feng Shui and nothing else. So this is my prognostication here. The other thing that we have to look at, I was talking about in buckets, is that if men are having difficulties with feeling like they're fatigued, their head is always, spinning, that they're concerned about having a little bit of a risk to infection. Wearing some blue colors will help that quite a bit, and put a conch shell in the northwest corner of your home. Now this year, in Year of the Ox, we also have another energy called the three killings. And the three killings causes three kinds of loss: a loss of job or income, a loss of a family member, and a loss of reputation. And this could be, when I say loss of reputation, it can also be loss of relationships. So for instance, they're strained, or maybe friends part, family members disagree. And this is in the family sector this year. What a surprise, huh? So we've got family members who are being pitted. I don't want to say pitted, but who are not on the same page, unfortunately. They're looking at the virus. Some are taking political stances, others are taking medical stances. Some take, who knows what kind of stances they take, but families are at disagreements many times. Family members, we've got family members that we're not seeing because we know that they are lax in keeping up with masking and hand washing and that kind of thing. That the side of the family that is maintaining those things has yet to have an infection. Knock wood, knock wood. So it's caused this division in families that we're seeing in the country. So how do we manage that? One of the ways that you can do that is keep the east corner of your home bright. Keep it lit. Having any excess plants will just create more problems with family members, bickering, just the cutting remarks, things that, little snipes and that kind of thing, or just tension in general. And I often talk about this at the holidays and Feng Shui for the holidays, that one of the problems with families is that when we get together for the holidays, there's an excess of wood. And when there's an excess of wood relates to the family, and that element can create is also the element of legal issues. It's also the element of arguments and yelling and loud fights and that kind of thing. And also, just even things like just regular garden variety bickering, that kind of thing. And when I talk about the holidays, I always say, add extra candles at the table, so that when you're at the table, and unscented ones, obviously you don't want to interfere with your food flavor, but mostly because sometimes people have scented candles, and they're scented with fruit or flower or other wood related scents like pine, and we just don't want to have any wood related scents. And candles, what happens when you have candles, lots of lighting with the families, it helps to burn up that excess wood energy and take some of the snipe, some of the bite out of family members who might otherwise be kind of bickering, like sometimes families do. I'm sure my family must be the only one that does that. No, we know how families are. There's always, even if things go pleasant at the holidays, there's always somebody that I should have had Aunt Martha's silver. I don't know why they gave it to Julianne. That kind of thing. What I'm talking about. But the family sector this year has this three killings. It has an excess of wood. So make sure that you keep the east corner of your house light and bright. The other thing I would like to encourage you to do, and this kind of goes against everything that we talk about in Feng Shui, but it's important this year. And this year is when I say excess wood in the family sector of the east. That means the east portion of your house, the east portion of your living room. It's vital that you don't have a lot of plants in your house. This year, actually, plants are something that can create more problems, especially with bickering, especially for women, it can be worry, depression, anxiety, just feeling a little overwhelmed. I have a client that I was talking with yesterday and who has plants all over the house, and I'm like, get them out, take them out, and especially watch the east corner of your house, because if you have, I want you to avoid having any excess plants in the east corner of your house, inside the house. So that would be the east corner of your living room, the east corner of your home. You can put them in the east corner of your of your yard or your patio or garden. That's perfectly fine. I have lots of plants. I love plants, but I'm really staying away from having them in excess in the east corner of my house because of this three killings, which can create, like I said, a loss of job, loss of reputation, loss of relationships, and it can also be loss of a family member, as in through death. So we don't want our families to be divided up. We don't want to lose anybody, right? And we don't want to lose our job or income. So watch those plants over in that corner. Now, the other thing that we're looking at this year that's going on this year is children. And one of the things I talked about in my forecast was how children are more at risk this year for COVID. I think we're going to start seeing some more developments going on there. And in particular, next month in September, we have the COVID star is going to be moving into the center sector, and everyone is going to be impacted more there. And children are hosting an energy that I believe is going to be, we just might see sort of a ballooning next month of, unfortunately, infection rates, hospitalizations, that kind of thing. So I'm really quite concerned about all the way across from east to west. And I say east to west of your home, of the country, that I have concerns about that. In the east corner of our house, we have the 5 yellow that's coming in September. That's east, that's family members. We really have to watch our family members. If you have family members who you're not certain are being taking precautions, it's just better not to be around them. It's better just to keep safe for now. And the other thing is because it's very likely there's going to be more infection among family members. We also have the 7 star in September that's coming in, and that's the COVID star. It comes into the center. It's going to go and affect everyone equally. So no matter what direction your house faces, that's what we're looking at, is the potential that this star is just going to kind of come back and rear its ugly head, and we're going to see some numbers that we haven't seen in a while. But we can help that. You can help that and do your part, and I'm trying to do ours and mine. The other concern that I have is about children, and this is an energy that's coming in next month. That is, we could just see quite a lot more infection with children. And as a matter of fact, I think that's going to be a trend from here through next year. That's the way things are looking from my perspective and through my Feng Shui lens. Again, I'm not a doctor, and I'm not saying go get yourself vaccinated or do or don't. Although I recommend that you do. I hope you do. And even if you don't believe in the vaccine, please wear your mask. They really do work. You wouldn't want to go into surgery with a doctor without one. But this is something that I am concerned about as we're coming into August, and then we're going to see it building into September. So now I've talked about that. We're going to see this, I think, again next year, unfortunately. And I think children are going to play a bigger role in this, unfortunately. But let's talk about some of the things that you can do in your house. I don't want to just give you all bad news. I want to talk about what you can do. Number one is, we want to resist fear and embrace protection. So make sure, the more you fear, this is a metal element. The COVID virus is a metal element. And metal is a fear element. Don't be afraid, be prepared. I remember seeing some billboards uptown where I lived. I remember saying, don't be afraid, be prepared. And I always thought that was such a great thing to say. So be prepared. Keep up your mask. Keep up your hand sanitizers are being discounted. Pick them up. Keep that going. Spend time near water if you can, because it's really good for us to have that water insulation around us. And it's also good for dispelling fear, making us relax, and also it's good for our health as well. The other thing I want you to do is to avoid wearing black if you can. If you're at home, fine. But if you go out in public, I'd like to see you not wear black colors, because they do absorb, and they absorb energies, and you just don't, nobody wants to be going around like an energetic sponge. And when we wear black, that's kind of what happens, and we can draw things to us, and we don't want to do that for sure. The other thing that I would say is make sure that you keep the east corner of your house and your living room light and bright. Really important that you keep it well lit and nice and bright. The other thing is check the east corner of your living room, of your house. Make sure that you don't have too many plants there. In fact, I would try to get all the plants out of the east corner of your home. You can put them in the east corner of your garden. That is perfectly fine. The other thing I'd like you to do is to protect the breadwinner. If that happens to be a man, then I want you to go put a conch shell or a seashell or some kind of water figure, but especially a conch shell. They're really, or a nautilus shell would be fine in the northwest corner of your home or living room. I always like doing things in my living room. It's just sort of a mini version of your whole house, and we call it the small Tai Chi, and you can do that there. And so that will protect the breadwinner if it's a man, and if a woman is the breadwinner, then my suggestion is to make sure that you keep the southwest corner of your home this month nice and quiet, super nice and quiet, because we have an energy that could get stirred up this month. No red colors, no bright lights, no loud sounds. Keep it dark, quiet, dim, calm. Really relax, really low key in the southwest corner of your home and living room. And in September, once September rolls around, then you can keep lights on. We want to keep the sector of women nice and light and bright. And it's also good for relationships. And don't forget to keep the east corner of your home nice and light and bright. Okay, well, I had not intended for this to be a really, really long update about COVID. And here we are at 28 and something minutes. But I felt like it was one of those things that I wanted to talk with you about and wanted to kind of touch base with you again, because, well, we're still dealing with it, aren't we? And it's not just dealing with it. We're seeing, instead of it receding, we're seeing it expand in some other areas. And that's a concern. That's a concern. And I want you to stay healthy. I want your family to stay well. And I want everybody to help just get past this. Like we'll get past this. We're going to get through it. But I wanted to give you a heads up, a little bit of a sort of a feng shui perspective on things. So watch out for your kiddos. I'd put a mask on, and but of course that depends on you and your pediatrician, what your pediatrician recommends. So in the meantime, take care of yourselves, be safe, and keep that social distancing going and all the hand washing and all that good stuff. And I wish you and your family the very best. Thanks so much for being here with me today, and I'll talk to you next week on 5 Minute Feng Shui.